views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of Bronxnet or the program underwriters.
Coming up on this edition of Perspectives, we go front and center, shifting our focus to the report on international religious freedom, particularly in East African nations. My guests will share some of the modern-day violations that are still occurring out there and what's being done to help the people that are being affected. That, plus a whole lot more on this edition of Perspectives with yours truly, Daren Jaime.
What's on your mind? Express what's on your mind. What's on your mind?
Anything relevant to life, you bring it to the table. Whether you make a move solo or a movement with a stable. No fables, you speak on your decisions. Cause in the long run, it's your voice, your views, your vision. Keeping it real with many messages for you to know. This ain't radio, but DJ runs the show. Entertainment, he rocks it. Politics, he locks it. The host with the most would handle any topic. Don't forget to share your perspective with shines of light. Cause it might make a difference in someone else's life.
Make a difference in someone's life. Express what's in your heart and your mind. Share your perspective.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Perspectives. I am Daren Jaime. We thank you for joining us. And as always, you can watch Perspectives every week here on Bronxnet's Channel 67. We also invite you to stay connected to us on our social media platforms at Bronxnet TV. If you're looking to reach me personally, you can do that by going to Daren C. Jaime on Facebook, and then also on Twitter and Instagram at DCJaime23. Of course, our website at Bronxnet is bronxnet.org, and our social media handles Bronxnet TV. Well, we're talking international news, and yes, as we continue to watch and pray for the people in Ukraine as we speak, there is another crisis that's getting very little attention, but we're going to bring it to you tonight. In many parts of the world, especially in some African nations, religious freedom has been under attack. People are finding themselves being punished under state laws and even being killed for practicing their beliefs. Recently, in February of 2022, the Office of the United States Special Rapporteur for Freedom of Religion actually collaborated with Khartoum International religious freedom leaders in Sudan to advocate for and advance religious freedom, or I should say freedom to practice religions of choice. And joining me now, I've got two of those leaders. The first is Mr. Tawfig Osman Saleh. He is the General Secretary of Unity International. He's also co-chair of the Khartoum International Religious Freedom Roundtable. Mr. Tawfig Osman Saleh serves as the co-chair of the East African International Religious Freedom Secretariat, which also covers several nations, and we welcome him to the show. Also joining me right now, we've also got Pastor Dr. William Bill Devlin, who's also, among many roles, serves as the co-chair of the Right to Worship NYC and a professor at the Nile Theological College in Khartoum, Sudan. He also is the co-chair of the East Africa International Religious Freedom Secretariat, which will cover also 9 nations. And we welcome you both to coming here and being here with us on the show here. And a lot of titles to get through, but certainly a lot of great work that's going on. Thank you both for being with us. And Tawfig, if I'll start with you very quickly, just tell us about the work that you see going on right now.
The work in Sudan is, it took us several years to reach this point. It's been a crazy time, especially during al-Bashir time, and then we shifted to a transitional government. But so far, we've been working in Sudan for almost right now 12 years in religious freedom issues, and it's been very tough and difficult in Sudan, especially the previous regime would not let us work freely. Of course, there were a lot of lines to cross with the previous regime, the Islamists and etc. And then the transitional happened and the revolution happened. And right now, I think we are moving a little bit ahead towards lifting up the standard of religious freedom in Sudan.
Yeah, I want to bring Dr. Devlin in, and for our viewers who want to know right now, we've got Tawfig coming to us straight from Sudan, and we're thankful. We've got some internet connection, so we're grateful for what we can get. But you'll probably hear him more than you'll actually see him because we want to make sure that we have a maintained internet connection. But Dr. Devlin also on the line with us here, but you can see him front and center. Let's talk about this for a minute, because when we talk about international religious freedom, we're talking about Ukraine, and we see the fight for freedom there. But there's another fight, and that fight for religious freedom. Please make our viewers aware as to what this whole thing is when it comes to international religious freedom.
Yeah, and Daren, great to be on with you again. Love Perspectives, love Bronxnet TV. And just returned back in the United States from Khartoum, where we held what we're calling the Khartoum Consultation and the Status of Religious Freedom in Sudan 2022. Tawfig and I, we both serve as the co-chairs of the Khartoum International Religious Freedom Roundtable, and we're now stretching out into other nations in East Africa, the Horn of Africa. So we've also established the East Africa International Religious Freedom Secretariat. So we just held this Khartoum consultation with the Special Rapporteur, His Excellency Ambassador Ahmed Shahid, who is the Special Rapporteur in the United Nations for Religious Freedom. And he was appointed there by General Secretary of the UN, Antonio Guterres, who is the General Secretary of the UN. And it's a special role. And the reason we held a consultation now, Daren, is that on March the 10th of 2022, the ambassador, the Special Rapporteur for Religious Freedom at the UN, Ahmed Shahid, he will deliver a comprehensive report in Geneva, Switzerland on March the 10th about the status of international religious freedom and what's called FORB, the freedom of religion or to believe in the hotspots around the world. And Khartoum for many years had been one of those hotspots under the 30-year regime of then President Omar Bashir. 3 years ago, there was I would call it a civil revolution, and it was led, interestingly enough, by students and women. And they basically went out into the streets, tens of thousands of people. Tawfig was there during this time, and the president, Omar Bashir, was deposed. He was placed under arrest, and then a civilian government came in, and they ruled up until October of 2021. So this civilian government headed by Abdullah Hamdouk, the prime minister, and a military general by the name of President Mohammed al-Burhan, they ruled the nation along with a transitional sovereignty council. And I mention that because there were 12 members of this transitional sovereignty council. And for the first time in Sudanese history, they had two women on that council ruling the nation along with the prime minister and the president. But interestingly enough, one of the women is a Coptic Christian, Raja Nicola. And that was groundbreaking for religious freedom in Sudan because she was the first Christian woman in Sudan. And Sudan's been around a long time, won its independence from Great Britain over 100 years ago. 50 years ago. And so this woman was appointed. She worked in the Department of Justice. She's an attorney, a barrister for many years, and she was appointed to the Transitional Sovereignty Council. Well, all things changed when the military had a coup. They deposed this Transitional Sovereignty Council, and now it's really up in the air about religious freedom. But let me just tell you, during that 3-week window, there were great strides in and with religious freedom in Sudan. There was a peace treaty signed with some rebels in the Nuba Mountains, the Sudan People's Liberation Army. There was more religious freedom. Pastors were released from jail. The security forces in Sudan were no longer harassing pastors and throwing them in prison. And amazingly, female genital mutilation, which has been a problem all over East Africa, in what we call the female genital mutilation belt that stretches from Mauritania and West Africa all the way over to Sudan and Somalia and Eritrea and Ethiopia and East Africa. FGM, female genital mutilation, Daren, was banned. And not only was it banned in Sudan during this 3-year period of civilian rule, but it was also criminalized, which everybody said, we can't believe it. So 3 years ago, we established this Khartoum International Religious Freedom Roundtable, and it really culminated in October of 2020 when we, Tawfig and I, as co-chairs, held the largest international religious freedom summit at Friendship Hall in Khartoum for 2 days. And we had over a total of 500 participants. We had government officials, including this female Christian member of the Transitional Sovereignty Council. And we held 2 days, October 20th and 21 of 2020. So now we're looking almost at a year and a half later. And so a couple of months ago, the United Nations contacted Tawfig and I and said, we want to hold this Khartoum consultation on the status of religious freedom in Sudan 2022. What's going to happen now with the military ruling and moving forward? So the civilian rule is gone. And so the report that we gave to the United Nations Special Rapporteur for Religious Freedom, as he reports to the UN Human Rights Council in just a couple of weeks, is that we said, really, the verdict is out. But Sudan, probably out of any other nation, Daren, on the entire continent of Africa, during that 3-year period of civilian rule, Sudan moved forward with great strides for religious freedom. And
let me try to, Dr. D, let me try and bring Tawfig back in and ask a little bit about this here, because you're in Sudan. You've convened this group together. Talk to us about where you see things right now and how do you view things? Because like Dr. Devlin says, great progress is actually being made, and there's still a lot of work to be done.
Yeah, you're right. There's been, great things happened before. The roundtable that happened in 2020, that was one of the key to shift religious freedom in Sudan from this level. From, let us say, 5 level to the 10th point, and that led, of course, to the lifting Sudan from the CPC list. That's one of the things that the roundtable done. Right now, Sudan facing a political instability in Sudan, and that affect everything in Sudan. All kind of rights, all kind of freedoms, and the instability politically also led to instability insecurity-wise. But when it comes to when we concern about religious freedom, right now, after lifting removing al-Bashir regime and everything, things start to easing up. Things start to, there were more space. But our main issue is with regulations, with the constitution itself. This is the thing that we need to move forward with. But other than that, everything is going towards, it's slowly, but it's going towards development and progress.
Let me take a quick break and come back, and after that, I'll talk to you more about progress and what more can be done as we follow this story about international religious freedom. We'll be right back here on Perspectives. here on Perspectives, the topic of conversation, international religious freedom. As we see what's going on in the Ukraine, it is a fight for freedom. But for years, many people have also fought in another kind of way, and that's for religious freedom. And so that's what we're talking about here on the show. And we've got two very special guests. And before the break, we were talking a little bit. I want to bring Tawfig back in because when we talk about religious freedom and international religious freedom, I know one of the most groundbreaking things that's happened for you is the launch of the International Religious Freedom Secretariat. And so for you, what does this mean to be able to have this secretariat, particularly in East Africa?
I mean, after the success of the IRF, or the International, or the Religious Freedom Roundtable in Khartoum, and actually what we did in Khartoum, it's totally different what's been done, how it's been done around the world. It's not one idea you impose it in different countries, but in Sudan we changed the concept so that could fit to the culture of the Sudanese, and fits the culture and the what they call the environment in Sudan. We don't want to bring something from New York or from Washington to impose it in Khartoum. We changed that so that everyone feels a part of it, and that's the main core and the success of the roundtable, and that's why it's considered to be the most successful roundtable in all the religious freedom roundtables that happen around the world. And that idea we wanted to establish, especially in East Africa, and especially in South Sudan, Eritrea, and other countries. Those countries, they are similar, like the Sudanese concept, they're similar to the Sudanese culture and tradition. So when you go to each of these countries and you try, and as we succeeded before in that in Sudan, we try to fit what they think and how they look at the religious freedom, and towards what's the meaning of the religious freedom. Religious freedom is not for Khartoum. It's not only about religion, but it's about the life dynamic in Sudan. You find politicians in between, like the the president sent his representatives. The VP, the vice president, sent his representative. At that time, Hamdouk, the PM, also sent his secretary. So the whole country and a lot of political parties also participated on that, because the roundtable was, for them it meant, and for us it meant, it's not only religious, but it's a roundtable that addresses all the issues with the bliss of religion.
And Dr. Devlin, for you, obviously being a part of this, the ability to have yourself, Tawfig, and others to be able to reach and have a voice and to bring these people together would be monumental. Talk about the significance of being able to have all of this come together if possible.
Well, I couldn't do it without Tawfig. We've been working together as a team, a two-man team, for about 12 years now. I've been working in Khartoum, Sudan since 2006, originally invited there by a Muslim imam friend who's Sudanese, and also by the former foreign minister. And they invited me, and then Tawfig and I began to work together. And what's exciting is that now, because of the transition in the government, our leadership team there in Khartoum for religious freedom is actually leading the politicians. So we're in a unique place, Daren, that we're out in front of the elected officials, the politicians, the military generals, and now we're taking this Khartoum religious freedom concept, and we've established a secretariat that's going to influence 8 other nations in East Africa. This is groundbreaking. It is Tawfig, my co-chair of the East Africa Secretariat, and also the Khartoum Religious Freedom Roundtable. This is groundbreaking because think about bringing the concept of religious freedom to places like not only Sudan, but South Sudan, Eritrea, Ethiopia, Djibouti, Somaliland, Somalia, and Kenya, of course, has religious freedom. But we're very thankful that the U.S. State Department really is focused on religious freedom. There's a current U.S. ambassador for religious freedom. And prior to the current one now, under the Biden administration, under the previous administration, former governor and former senator Sam Brownback, when he stepped down a year and a half ago because of the transition in the American government, he was asked, Daren, what was your most successful goal and objective that you met during your 3-4 year tenure as the ambassador for religious freedom in the U.S. State Department? And he said it with one word. He said, Sudan. And as Tawfig mentioned, Sudan used to be on what the U.S. State Department calls a country of particular concern, the CPC. When the civilian government came in 2019, that CPC designation was dropped. A lot of the sanctions that the U.S. government had against Sudan, particularly financial sanctions, they were dropped as well. So this has really been an exciting time for Christians in Sudan, in this unique nation on the continent of Africa. And, Christians have been in Sudan since 2,000 years, antiquity. And so now as we move forward, we're going into these other nations. And we know that the East Africa International Religious Freedom Secretariat is going to be very, very successful with Tawfig's leadership there in Khartoum, with my acting as a catalyst on religious freedom, not only in Sudan, but we want to go in. Our next stop is going to be South Sudan, after that, Eritrea. And there is going to be a wave of religious freedom all over East Africa and in the Horn of Africa, which, Daren, this important point, this has never before been accomplished. So Tawfig is going to lead the way on there. I'm going to be supporting him financially. The United Nations Special Rapporteur for Freedom of Religion and Belief is behind us. The government of Sudan is behind us. And again, we're out in front of the elected officials and the politicians, which is a great place to be.
Yeah. And I want to bring this note in to let people know, like on December the 2nd, in accordance with the International Religious Freedom Act of 1998, as amended by the Secretary of State, actually removed Sudan from the special watch list, determining that it no longer engaged in or tolerated severe violations of religious freedom. Sudan has previously been designated as a country of particular concern, like Dr. Devlin said, between 1999 and 2018, and was moved to the special watch list in 2019. And Tawfig, to have this happen, to see this occur, and to put the work in, what does it mean for you?
It means to me it is the beginning of the road. It is the beginning of the journey. That's some obstacles, and we're trying to improve it and remove it from our way, and we remove that, and right now it is to improve. It's not where we reach, it's how you continue. How you could go and continue doing what you're doing. This road is not non-stop. You just keep going and trying to develop things and try to go further and further till God takes your breath away.
Yeah. Well, we want to thank you so much for being with us, Tawfig, coming to us all the way from Sudan. Appreciating you hanging out here with us and telling us and bringing us up to speed about all that's going on. Dr. Devlin as well, want to thank you for the work that you're doing and continuing the work for international religious freedom. As we see across the Ukraine right now, people are fighting, and they're fighting for their freedom. And there's also something called international religious freedom, which is a fight that continues to go on down through the years. Both of these gentlemen, guests here on our show, but very instrumental in working for international religious freedom. I want to thank you both for being with us and sharing with us today on Perspectives, and glad to have you with us.
Hey, great to be with you. And we're grateful for Bronxnet TV and Perspectives. We're grateful for the United Nations coming on board and helping us along in this journey, and grateful for Tawfig's leadership as well. So thank you. God bless.
Thank you. Thank you much, Dr. Devlin. He's no stranger to our show, been on here many times, reporting from different parts of the world, especially when disasters occur. Also part of that disaster response team. So we've seen his face and heard his voice, and now coming to do the work in Khartoum. Tawfig also working in Sudan, working it out there and seeing international religious freedom take place, and we're seeing changes actually being made. So thank you both for being with us, and thank you for watching here on Perspectives. I'm Daren Jaime saying take care, share your perspective. It just might make a difference in somebody else's life. We'll see you real soon.
Don't forget to share your perspective with shines of light, because it might make a difference in someone else's life.
Make a difference in someone's life. Express what's in your heart and your mind. Share your perspective.